Hey everyone, and welcome back to Turn 2. This week, we're going to do it a little bit differently and have a couple new guests on here as well. First off, Kisstafer, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Thanks. And no webcam for him today, unfortunately. And then, of course, we have Darkwonyx. If you don't know who he is and you're not keeping up on competitive Hearthstone, definitely one of the best players in Europe. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming on. And, of course, my nerd, your nerd, Trump's nerd, it's Ekop. How are you, Ekop?
What's up? Voice now recovered to almost 100% after I was sick. Glad to be here.
That's good. I'm glad it's recovered because today is a very different type of episode. I definitely want to talk about whatever Hearthstone stuff you guys want to bring up, but we also want to go over some decks today that people have submitted on the forums. And we already do have the first one submitted that we're going to look over. So I guess we'll just go ahead and jump in, talk about that a little bit, and just see where the conversation takes us. So for anyone who wants to see the thread and kind of follow along, I just posted it in the chat, and this is number 20 we're going to look at. It's a Shaman deck. And basically, he hit Legendary with Shaman last season. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Hold on. That's the wrong post. Here it is. Anyways, this deck, it's kind of like a combo control deck. So let's just, I think Simon should have that up on the screen in a second here. Yeah, it is. So let's go ahead and just kind of discuss this. How can we make this deck better? What's cool? What's bad? Go ahead, guys. Just start. Dig in.
The first thing I notice is Molten Giants in the deck, and it has no kind of taunt givers. So it seems like you want to drop health, but you don't have a backup plan when you drop health. You most likely will die some turns after that.
It looks to me like you just fill the board with a bunch of crap like the Feral Spirits until you hit turn 9, and then you go like Alexstrasza, double Molten Giant, and then you'd probably Alexstrasza yourself with this deck because Shaman are like pretty fragile. And then the next turn you come out with Wind Fury, like Rockbiter weapon to kill them in one turn. Or 2 turns, I mean.
Oh, it's pretty combo-y looking. I mean, what are you thinking about this one, Ekop?
Well, yeah, obvious combo in here, big asses and the Wind Fury. However, Wind Fury is more like more of an aggro card, I would say. You would use it more in an aggressive deck because it costs 2 instead of 4, like the Wind Speaker. So in a deck that relies on big minions getting huge attacks off, you might as well play Wind Speaker, I guess. Also, the first thing that I noticed was, where the hell are those fire elementals?
That's a good question.
Like, isn't that supposed to be the best Shaman card? So, and it's basic, so there's like no excuse of not having it. So yeah, get those fire elementals in. Also, nice target to Wind Fury. So
that is true. So far we have the complaint of no taunt givers, no fire elementals. How do you fit those into this deck without completely rebuilding this into a standard Shaman deck?
Well, I would say you don't need Fork Lightnings at all. I just think compared to Lightning Storm, this card is just so terrible. Lightning Storm does the same thing and only costs. I mean, it does way more than the same thing. It only costs 2 more, but it deals with a huge amount of minions if necessary. While Fork Lightning doesn't.
Okay.
And you can't even cast Fork Lightning if there's only 1 minion. Sometimes you want to cast a Lightning Storm if there's only 1 minion.
So situational Fork Lightning. Sometimes you just sit on it on your hand and you never be able to play it against some control decks.
So definitely take out the Fork Lightnings. You agreeing with that, Kisstafer?
Yeah, I tried Fork Lightning a while ago when I was playing Shaman. The problem you run into is that the overload is so big for the effect that it has that it ends up leaving you screwed for your next turns, I think. And he also already has a lot of small removal anyway.
I mean, I understand the reasoning behind it. It's probably to get an auctioneer. But I think that the deck is not as heavy on spells, especially cheap spells, as it should be. I just don't I don't know. I haven't tried it yet, but I still think that Gadgets Auctioneer is not a good fit for Shaman. It could be decent, but I think there are better options.
I would
So,
also probably get rid of Wild Pyromancer and Manatide Totem for at least another Flame Tongue Totem.
Second Flame Tongue in here?
Yeah, because it combos so well with like the Wind Fury and Leroy. And in the metagame, a lot of decks that are being played are like, they just kind of sit back. So you can get away with Flame Tongue Totems, buffing up your like passive totems.
Mm-hmm. So far we have take out the Fork Lightnings, take out possibly the Gadgetzon Auctioneers. Did you agree with that, Darkwonyx?
Yeah, Fork Lightnings should be taken out.
Mm.
They're too situational in this kind of deck. It seems like they're meant for the Auctioneers and to just hold back the aggro. But there are, like, Shaman has multiple ways to deal with aggro anyways with Lightning Storm. And Earth Shocks and Rock Biters, Lion Ball, there's so much burns. And if you want to make the Molten Giant work in the deck, you have to put in taunts. And if you want to make the Auctioneer decks, maybe Fork Lightning is good in that case, but I don't like the theme of the combination between the both. So I would just take out the Molten Giants, take out the Fork Lightning, put in some more early drops. Take out the Wild Pyro Monster as well, because I don't really like the Wild Pyro Monster in Shaman decks mostly, because it's mostly filling your own board with totems and units to be able to withstand the aggro. And the Wild Pyro kind of kills your own minions more than his usually. That's how I feel it.
Okay. So I think we have some pretty good suggestions that this guy can kind of run with this deck. Speaking of like this type of kind of sudden kill deck, I know you guys were talking a little bit right before we started the show about, especially you were mentioning, Kisstafer, about the explosiveness of like every deck right now. Like every class can just suddenly kill you when you're at like 20 life from an almost empty board. Do you guys like that in Shaman decks right now? Because I've seen a lot of the Wind Fury, Leroy type of play coming out, and I know, Kisstafer, you got to feel that against Reels a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that in a Shaman deck? Some of these explosive types of combos.
I think that's the best way to play Shaman right now. You just build up early, like you get early totems going on, and then you like buff them up with Flame Tongues, and then you just kind of ride that wave until you get your combo, and then you just one-shot them.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Druid Force of Nature Savage Roar combo, where you just draw through your whole deck with the help of Pagel, Drake, and stuff like that, and just get at Agent of Lore, where you just get closer and closer to your combo and deal some damage with your minions in the meantime, so you can finish them off in one turn. That's it's a viable strategy, and it works really well. And it's not hard to accomplish with Shaman as well. I saw Savis streaming the other day on NA. He also played the budget Shaman deck with a lot of burst, and it worked really well.
The amount of damage that people can, or that decks can do in this game compared to the maximum like HP pool is just incredibly high. And I think that's why we're seeing so many decks like that, because people have started to realize that you only need to control the board for like 4, 5, 6 turns, and then you can just one-shot people with that amount of mana going into the later game.
Are you liking that style, Darkwonyx?
Yep. Seems to be like one of the most popular styles nowadays. Every class seems to have some kind of way to deal 20 damage in one turn after round 7, 8 something. So you always have to be afraid of situational OTK like things going on right now. It's so risky to play on ladder.
Yeah, ladder is kind of crazy. All right, let's jump into the next deck. This one is going to be from number 17 on that front page in this thread. It's a Control Pally deck. And he says he has pretty much any card that you would want to go in it. So there's no limitations there. But if we just throw that up on screen and take a look at it, it looks... I mean, it looks pretty standard. It's not so much unlike a Koyuki Paladin, but it doesn't have any giants in it. So what do you guys think about this type of Control Pally?
This deck looks almost exactly like Koiki's original Paladin that didn't have giants, except it has Ysera, which is pretty good against Druid, but I think against most burn decks that are going around, it's a little bit too slow.
Ekop, any thoughts on this Pally one?
Yeah, I mean, it looks fairly standard, which is a bad thing, really, because this deck is not good in the current metagame anymore. It's just way too old, and people have, like, the metagame has evolved. I've tried Koyuki's Paladin when I started streaming the new season, and yeah, it didn't work out. I mean, Paladin right now for me has the lowest win rate out of all classes, even lower than Priest.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, and I've tried different takes on Paladin, and Paladin is just really weak at the moment. So unless you go for a really good aggressive deck to steal some wins, I don't think Paladin can pull off like 100% victories or something. It doesn't really have any good matchups, and I don't know. Like, well, it's just pretty weak at the moment. I don't know why, but maybe because it doesn't have what those other classes have, this one-shot potential that we were talking about. You know,
I actually have a saying that I've been trying out Pala lately, and I've been doing some kind of weird shifts to it, but it's been working out really good. I've been climbing from like rank 5 to rank 2 with just that deck in some hours, so it's been working fairly good. But I have Doomsayers in it. That's one of the secrets in the Pala decks that I find. It's very good against those aggro decks, and it stalls the turn until turn 4 when you actually can deal with stuffs. Because usually Pally has really hard dealing with stuffs until turn 4. That's when True Silver comes out, Consecration comes out, and your minions comes out. So
I've been playing a lot of Control Warrior, and I get absolutely destroyed by this deck every time, almost, because they have so many ways to deal with single large minions that you just run out of threats until they just end up winning the game out of attrition.
Okay. I'm still kind of like really interested in the fact that that Paladin is the class is doing absolute worst for you, Ekop, because I feel like it's much weaker right now than it was before, but even worse than Priest. What are you running in Priest right now?
well, I don't know. Maybe it was just random, but still, I felt like Paladin didn't really do much. Like it had no. It wasn't flashy. It didn't do anything that other classes wouldn't do worse. Like, I mean, Paladin, whatever Paladin can do, other classes just can do better. The only thing that Paladin has going for it is equality, and equality in combination with Pyromancer, Consecration, Avenging Wrath being the best board clear you can have. But still, like, I don't know, Paladin doesn't have this one-shot potential, which makes the class pretty bad at the moment. Also, Priest, same problem is with Priest. Priest also doesn't have this one-shot potential, unless you play like Velen and Mind Blast and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess it's true. Villain Mind Blast for the win. Okay, so how do we actually take this deck? Even though it's kind of interesting to find out that Paladin is a little bit weak, and this is kind of like the older Koyuki build. How do we take this guy's specific deck when he has basically any cards to choose from, and without altering it too much? How could you adapt this to do a little bit better on the ladder for him?
I think it has too many late game drops at first. It has too many win potential. Ysera and I would actually take out Ysera and Rag in this deck, because what I've been noticing is you don't even need a Rag in these kind of decks, because once you start getting out your minions in your end games, you usually win anyway. So I think it's overkill having both Ysera and Rag. Tyrion is enough. That's what I've been noticing. So just take them out and put in some more mid-game-ish stuffs. I would actually like to see the Doomsayers. No, not with the Watchers, however. You need to either choose Doomsayers or you need to pick the Watchers.
My problem is that it has equality on Ancient Watchers, because equality combos tend to mess up Ancient Watcher combos because you're killing your own guys practically. So I don't like that either.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
I personally think the build is fine. I've tried several paladin builds, either hardcore control or super aggro or something in between. But what I'm rolling with right now is something that looks very, very similar. But I think that right now, Divine Shield minions like Argent Squire and Scarlet Crusader could be pretty good in paladin. You could also combine them with Blood Knight if you want. But I think that because Mage has declined in popularity so much, those Divine Shield minions, especially Scarlet Crusader, could be really good right now.
The other thing that I like about this deck is that because those Burn Hunters and the Burn, like, Reynad Warrior deck that have been coming out, everyone's throwing, like, Sun Fury and Argus Protectors and Ancient Watchers and stuff in their deck. And those types of decks want to keep putting minions out on the board and taunting them up. So it puts them at, they pretty much have to overextend to equality to, like, do their combos. Which is kind of like a good metagame situation for this deck.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, any other thoughts on this Paladin control deck before we jump over to the next deck that I'm sure Ekop's going to be very excited about?
Oh boy, here we go.
Let's go.
All right. Well, thanks for your deck submissions, guys. Here's the next one. This is going to be number 19 on that forum post. And it's going to, there's 2 decks in there. We're going to take a look at this Warlock deck. And it is, of course, a Warlock Murloc deck. So I'm kind of excited to discuss this a little bit. You have any thoughts on Murlocs right now, Ekop?
Murlocs are the cancer. I mean,
it's no longer a hunter.
No, I mean, yeah, aggro decks have been around in pretty much every card game. So yeah, but hold on, my voice is cracking up again.
Poor guy.
Anyway, so Murlocs has been around forever, and I've always hated playing against it because there's like no skill involved. All you have to do is play your minions, smash, 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 and sometimes your opponent can't do anything against it, and sometimes he can, and however it goes, the game, I don't know, it just doesn't feel very fun. Some people might disagree on that, but yeah, that's just my personal opinion. I really think Murlocs are very strong. That's true. I mean, they haven't been targeted at all from with like there was no nerfs to Murlocs, with the exception of Blood Imp maybe. So yeah, nothing changed much. But when I take a look at this Murloc deck right now, I see
it's different. It's way different.
I see crazy stuff. I'm just taking a look at it right now. So, man, all
like
those high
control
drops.
Murloc.
It's got
Control Murlocs.
Control Murloc, yeah, I guess so. I mean, this is an interesting one. I wanna put my 2 cents in here. If you're like, he's not playing Soulfires. If you're actually gonna play 0 spells, why don't you put Lorewalker Cho in? Come on. If you're gonna have this much fun, you're gonna play Murlocs plus all the late game cards. Put Lorewalker Cho in if you don't have any spells.
The one thing that I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I haven't tested Hogger out because I don't have him, but I think that could actually be a stroke of genius, like, because by the time you get to turn 6, if they haven't stabilized already, they're probably out of small removal. So Hogger's chances of keep spawning 2/2s is actually pretty high by then, unless they've stabilized.
Oh man.
What do you guys think of that one? Is Hogger, is it brilliant or is it a dud here? Might be brilliant from Kisstafer.
Might as well play Silverhand Knight, cost 1 less.
Yeah, in this deck actually. It does the same thing.
Oh
I
man,
like
Hogger
the
is like one of the
faceless
worst
deck.
legendaries.
I like it actually has 2 faceless in a Murloc deck. It's like if you can get the dream out, like double faceless old Murkai. Or
Oh
something.
wow.
I mean, facelessing in a Murloc deck is okay. Like facelessing a Murloc War Leader even, it's pretty good.
You know,
That's
I
true.
like
I
those
also-
manipulators in there, but I don't like Hogger. I don't like all this janky, high cost stuff. I don't know. I just don't think it fits the Murloc strategy really well. But faceless is a very nice consideration. Might be alright.
you know,
Black Knight as well. Black Knight is always good.
I also kind of like the Ragnaros for some reason because at the end of the game, you get in those situations where they have like 5 health left and you have no cards left, and you could just drop Rag and have like the 50-50 to win the game because people who are playing Control are always trading their minions off against Murlocs to try to stay alive and preserve their health. So the chances of them having a lot of minions on the field is actually pretty low.
I admit that I have lost to Ragnaros coming out when I thought I beat the Murloc deck before. This has happened to me. So
But yeah, I would get rid of Alexstrasza, Jiraxis, and Ysera.
Yeah.
okay.
Like Strasza seems pretty. I don't know if you want to heal your opponent one like you're already low, or if you want to have a last minute lifesaver just to die the turn after anyway or something.
Yeah,
Seems
actually,
pretty-
Alexstrasza, now that you say that, that's the weirdest card in this whole deck, because even if you get a bad draw with Murlocs, they're going to be below 15, right? So...
It's to heal
Yeah.
yourself, obviously.
Yeah. For that late game heal that you need in a Murloc deck.
Yeah, if you don't draw your Jiraxis, you at least have Alexstrasza to heal yourself, right?
to play Sierra the round after and win the game.
Well, kind of an interesting one, this Murloc deck. So you guys are saying just cut the jank and make a normal Murloc deck? But
Well-
the facelesses can stay? Is this what we're getting for this poor guy that submitted his deck? Is that it?
I mean, some cards are viable. Like Ragnaros is okay, Black Knight is okay, Faceless is okay. I've seen Hogger in plenty of Warlock aggro decks too. So I don't know. Maybe those people are all bad, or maybe they are geniuses. And I think the former is true. But yeah, Hogger, no thanks. Sylvanas is also pretty bad right now. I mean, Sylvanas has like I almost see no Sylvanas anymore at all. Like every 6-drop legendary I see is either Black Knight or Cairn. Sylvanas is not good anymore right now.
I'd like to see Defender of Argus is in this deck because when you buff up those Murloc's health, it makes them really difficult to take out, and then it helps synergize because then you can like drop the War Leader the turn after if any of them stay alive, and it just becomes even bigger of a problem.
Okay. So kind of a, I don't know. This is an interesting one. I like taking a look at it. Any other thoughts on this deck before we move on to the next?
I actually have a fun story about the
Okay.
faceless in a Murloc deck. Because I once faced a Murloc deck with my warrior. And I was going to clear the board with Grommash. And the turn after, he faceless my Grommash and hit my face. So I was like, wait, what faceless? In a Murloc deck? So I killed his Murloc, I killed his Grommash. And I was like, no one runs faceless in a Murloc, so I was like really afraid. Should I kill my own Grommash to like be safe from another faceless? But I didn't. And the round after he put another faceless on the Grommash and killed me. I was like
Nice.
20 damage, 24 damage burst from like nowhere.
Oh my god.
I got so
that
outplayed.
You were way outplayed there. That's sick.
Yeah. So
wow.
it works. It does work, like in some cases.
Damn, I kind of want to try facelesses in a Murloc deck now. That's Maybe that's the next way that I'll lose on the ladder. Let's actually take a look at his second deck that he has as well. It's a priest deck, and it has a lot of the same cards there at the end, but this is like a wild priest deck as well. Like it's got the 2 inner fires, the 2 divine spirits, and then you look at the mana curve and it has that Hogger again, and then it has like all the big shit after that, including, how do you say this guy, Gruul? I don't even know. Someone played him against me today for the first time ever in Hearthstone. But take a look at that deck, guys. What do you think? It seems a little bit top heavy.
It's really hard to see the deck. It's because it's so small. I don't.
Hold Control and plus on your browser.
Wait, which post was it?
It's the same one as the Murloc one, like number, what was it, 17 or something? Yeah, you can just zoom in by, like, if you hold Control and hit plus on most browsers, it'll zoom it right in for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Pretty weird.
There you go. Me giving you tech help, you are hopeless.
You know, I tried a deck like this the other day, and it did not work for me at all.
With Gruul?
No, just like the Divine Spirit Inner Fire type of priest. I was using like Nat Pagel and I don't know, just like stuff with really high health.
I actually have a priest deck right now that I'm laddering with. He has Divine Spirit, but he has no Inner Fire. I think it's too much of a wombo combo. Because if you can get a Yeti out and Divine Spirit it to make it a 4/10 and just trade it up with a bunch of minions on the board. And I also have Crazed Alchemist. I think Crazed Alch is so much better than Inner Fire in almost every cases because it can be used for so much more.
Yeah, I was
it has
using
the
that
same
one too.
logic. It's the same burst potential you have.
I think that's a really good tip for this guy if he wants to play around with that. Maybe use the Crazed Alchemist instead.
Yeah,
Use that
the
on
only
people's
problem
nat
would be
picks,
like
too.
with the Shield Bearer. I don't think Crazed Alch is the best combo with that guy.
Probably. Well, he needs a. What's the name of that terrible monkey that you put in that Paladin deck in Berlin, Ekop? What was the name of that
Silverback
deck?
Patriarch.
Silverback Patriarch. There you go. He can replace Shield Bearer with that. Oh man.
This guy.
So, here's my take on Priest right now. And also a reason why I think Priest is actually better potentially than Paladin in the current meta game. It does like every deck does stuff that Priest would do better, but Priest has the potential to do some crazy shit with all those inner fires and circle of healings and whatever, like those blowout cards if you get the right combos. So I think you might actually, if you want to go for wins with Priest, there's no way you're gonna get wins with a standard deck. So you have to go for some crazy stuff. So yeah, just to catch your opponent off guard and maybe get lucky. Like, I still think it's a really, really bad choice to do that, and just instead of just sticking to a good class and a good deck for that class. But yeah, if you want to go for Priest, just go crazy. Like I condone that. Inner Fire all the way. Why not? I mean, people certainly won't expect that. First off, and second, it might get wins. Like, of course, there's probably ways to make it even better by having better choice of minions and stuff like that. But still,
The thing that's cool about this deck is if Ysera survives for a turn, you can use Inner Fire on her and hit them for 12.
Or you can did that to me.
Divine Spirit it first and then hit them for 24.
Yep.
There you go. There's the wombo combo. That's turn 10. Could be turn 9 if you got the coin and kept it. Yeah. Same as Druid. All right, so I really like the adding in the Crazed Alchemist. I think that's cool. Ekop, you say whatever, keep it a little bit combly, a little bit crazy. What about these late game drops? Like, would you keep all these in here? Because there's some crazy stuff like Gruul in there, and I just look at him and I'm like, what deck would ever use this card? I don't know.
wait, which card? Gruul or what?
Yeah, Gruul.
Yeah, Gruul is just your standard generic fatty. I mean,
Yeah.
The only deck I've seen Gruul in, if you can actually call it a deck, is the one with master of disguise. Give me your Gruul stealth and just wait until he grows like into a 30-30 at one shot.
If Gruul was like a 5-mana 5/5 that got bigger every turn, I think he'd be a lot better than an 8-mana.
He would
Yeah,
certainly
totally.
be a lot better, without any doubt. If he was a 5/5 for 5, I think he'd be a lot better than he is now. I hate that card.
What I like to see in Gruul is actually they implement the Fat Dragon system on him, that he can't be target of spells. Because that would actually might make it viable.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
he would be overpowered if he couldn't be
But
targeted
you can
by
still
spells.
remove him. You can trade him off, or you can big him hunter him or something, but you can't target him with spells. I don't know, it's interesting, but
Yeah,
just my thoughts.
oh, that's kind of cool. All right, any other final thoughts on this one?
It seems to lack removal. That's what I'm saying. It has 2 pain for early drops. It has no Shadow Madness, it has no Holy Nova, it has no Cabal to deal with his units. I think this deck is gonna die eventually pretty quickly. It has Leroy. I don't
2
know
mind
if
controls.
Leroy Divine Spirit Inner Fire combo is gonna be good.
2 mind controls and 2 Shadow or Deaths is too much. I think you should have like, if you want, you should have like maximum 2 of like both of those cards. So like if you have 1 death and have 1 mind control, or if you have 2 mind controls and have no deaths, something like that. Having like all that is too much.
Okay. All right, some fair ideas for this guy. Hope good luck to you in your priest deck and your crazy Murloc deck with the facelesses. That's kind of neat. Let's take a look at post number 7 now. This is one of my favorites, Hunter Control. It's a weird one. Let's wait just 1 second while Simon gets that up. I think he might actually already have it up there. No, he'll get it there in just a second. Anyways, Hunter Control here. Like, he's playing the Hunter's Marks. He's playing Freezing Traps and Explosive Traps. Pyromancers here. You know, some of the removal, like a multi-shot. He's playing the Venture Co. Mercenaries, a Big Game Hunter, the Urgent Commanders. You guys can read it. I mean, what do you think about this one? Because Hunter Control is like something that fascinates me. They do have a lot of cool removal stuff, and the secrets can be kind of neat. But what would you suggest for a deck like this?
Which number is it on the thread?
It's number 7, post 7.
It's pretty hard to say, actually. I've been trying Hunter Control a lot, but it seems to kind of burnish Hunter Control. Just trying to clear the board doesn't work. It's been tried over and over, but it doesn't have the... I don't know, multi-shot can be situational. Sometimes it's amazing, sometimes it's horrible. So for same as Studley Shot. And yeah, Kisstafer.
I really like Deadly Shot for Hunter. I think it's like one of their craziest spells. And but I don't think you should have Big Game Hunter if you have Deadly Shot. I think that's like they kind of do the same thing. Because if they're playing like a 9-mana creature that you could Big Game Hunter, it's probably the only guy in the field unless you're already losing. And I would also take out Ysera and put in Alexstrasza just so that you can heal yourself.
Okay.
So yeah, I've also been playing Hunter Control recently because Hunter Aggro is just too dumb for me. I don't know, I just don't like the deck anymore. So Hunter Control, in my opinion, is the way to go right now. However, there are a couple of cards that I really don't like in this deck. One of them being Multi-Shot. Multi-Shot is just a mass removal that's just way too situational and way too expensive for my taste. Same for Fork. Same problem as with Forked Bolt, in my opinion. So yeah, also what I see is those traps, Explosive Trap and Freezing Trap, are really cool and stuff. But why is there no Eaglehorn Bow, for example, to synergize with those traps? I mean, this seems like a must-have in this deck. Also, Buzzard. I mean, Buzzard is like the super awesome card draw engine along with Unleash the Hounds. If you can pull it off, it's super amazing. I feel like a Hunter deck without Buzzard is just not a Hunter deck.
I would probably also use Sunwalker over Argent Commander in this deck, just so that you have some like extra survivability. Because part of the problem with Hunter is just that you have no like good way to heal yourself, and like you should be using the Eagle Horn Bow, and you'll be taking a lot of damage clearing minions with that. So any way you can preserve health is good.
All right. Any other thoughts on this version of Hunter Control? Oh, by the way, Ekop, you say you've been messing with Hunter Control. Is it kind of similar to the Puffin deck, or is it something else, something new?
Yeah, it's kind of similar. I mean, I've tweaked it around a little bit. It runs a lot of different cards than what we are seeing right now in this list, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. Also, I don't really understand the Venture Co in this deck. I mean, it's huge and stuff, but I don't really know if you can actually afford the drawback if you play so many big minions, like so many minions that cost 6 or more. So you cannot like properly curve. Also, what I see is that Big Game Hunter is probably just gonna target your Venture Co a lot. Like if you have a Venture Co out and you want to play Big Game Hunter and your opponent doesn't have any targets, you actually have to target your own Venture Co mercenary.
I didn't actually know that. That's kind of funny.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like Wild Pyromancer and Unleash the Hounds don't work together all that well either.
But Wild Pyromancer is a very, very nice card in Hunter, especially. Yeah. I really think it synergizes very well with Explosive Trap, with Hunter's Mark. It's really strong. Obviously, it doesn't synergize well with Unleash the Hounds, but you don't have to do it. So
I really like
Unleash the Hounds or Pyromancer.
I really like Hunter's Mark. It's kind of like Execute in Warrior, except instead of dealing damage to them and then executing them, you just Hunter's Mark them and then deal the damage. It's really neat. You can clear really huge things for like almost no mana.
Yeah. That is a cool card. It works so well with Wild Pyromancer. That Hunter Control deck you made a long time ago, Ekop, I really liked that combo in it. It's very strong.
So, what's also a consideration, I mean, obviously it's not really a consideration because you have Buzzard, but if you imagine you wouldn't have Buzzard in this deck, you could, or if imagine Hunter wouldn't have access to Buzzard, Gadgets and Auctioneer would also be pretty nice in this deck. You have a lot of cheat spells in this deck list right now. Like Tracking, Flare, Arcane Shot, Hunter's Mark, also the traps, also Unleash the Hounds. Like the first half of the deck is spells, as you can see. So that's pretty amazing. I don't know, like I think Auctioneer could be really good, but my preferable card draw engine obviously would be Buzzard plus Unleash the Hounds, or Buzzard plus Snake Trap even though Buzzard plus Snake Trap doesn't work anymore because it's way too obvious.
Okay. Yeah, that never works anymore after the first day or so. That started to come back. Just no one will attack a minion anymore for Hunter. Hunter Control as an archetype, is this something that you guys think is actually coming up? Like, is this going to be a deck that's actually going to be playable? Because I know everyone's kind of messing with it right now, but does it have potential? Or is this just kind of like a fun deck that we're all trying to make work and it's not happening?
I'd say it has potential, just because of the secrets of you don't know if it's an aggro hunter or a control hunter, so you have to always mulligan for an aggro hunter, and that could make the control hunter much better as well in this case.
I mean, it's definitely viable. I think Hunter Control faces the same problems that Warrior Control had deck build wise recently. It's very, very hard to actually find the right version of this deck. Just much like Warrior Control. First, we started off with those Warrior Control OTK combos, which were all like there were plenty of versions for Warrior Control throughout the weeks, and we still haven't figured out the perfect one. it's always changing, and so will Hunter Control. But with Hunter Control, the whole evolution has just begun. So it will take a couple of weeks still to figure out the best Hunter Control deck.
Yeah, that makes sense. Darkwonyx, are you working on Hunter Control at all? Because it seems like everything that we mentioned, you're like, yeah, you know, I have a deck just like that I've been laddering and I'm legendary with it.
I haven't actually been trying. I did try it at first, but the control-ish Hunter for me that was working the best for me was some kind of beast control-ish. That you have Unleash the Hound, you have Buzzard, you have Timberwolf, you have even Houndmaster in some cases. And that's the one that's been working out the best for me. I haven't found another way to actually make them work. And I've met a lot of control hunters on the ladder, but sometimes they work, sometimes it doesn't. It's mostly like priests. Either they work really good, you get insanely card draw with Buzzard and Unleash the Hound, or it doesn't work at all. It's pretty much gimmicky in that way.
Okay. Well, thanks that guy for the deck submission. Let's check out another one. This one I'm kind of excited to take a look at. This one is on page 2, and it's post number 39. And he has 2 decks there, but we're going to go ahead and look at this Mage Control deck, which is something that I really enjoy right now. Oh, wait. I think I just posted the wrong thing to you guys. 1 second. All right. But yeah, if you just scroll down to number 39, it's there. I don't know how to make this show up in a window. I clicked on the wrong thing. But anyways, this is a Mage Control deck. Its top end has stuff like Ragnaros, Archmage, pretty much what you'd imagine. 1 Flame Strike. It still plays Sylvanas as Karn in it. Looks kind of neat. It definitely has a lot of spell power in there as well.
I know you guys have been playing around with Antonidas, but I haven't been able to see like why. I don't like that card very much. But what do you guys think of it?
I find that if you save an Arcane Missiles or, well, this guy has Mirror Image in his deck, but basically if you save anything that's 1 or 2 and you play it, it's like super powerful. If you didn't run out of gas already in the deck, like getting 1 Fireball from him is like pretty awesome because they have to use at least 1 card to get rid of him, right? So I don't know. I've had really good success with him so far, personally.
Antonidas and Ragnaros are basically the new Pyroblasts for Mage. That's all I can say to that. Like, Pyroblast being nerfed to Oblivion desperately needed the replacement, and I think Archmage, Antonidas, and Ragnaros fulfill the role kind of okay. Antonidas is really good, I think. Ragnaros not so much.
So do you always just save him until like you have enough mana to play a card at the same turn, or do you play him on turn 7 sometimes?
Well, it depends on what you have in your hand, obviously.
Yeah, generally in most games I've been playing with with Nyx's Mage Control and Savage's Mage Control, I generally hold him. But there are some times where you just, you're either already overwhelming or you don't have shit and you just play him anyways. But I like him. I think he's a really cool finisher. He's like really robust. He's kind of like a Ysera for me, where it's like, the reason why I really like Ysera is you play her and she's going to give you another card. He's kind of like that too, where you play him and you're going to get another card. So even if they deal with Ysera or with him right away, at least you have 1 more powerful card in your hand still. So I don't know, I like him. Do you like him, Darkwonyx?
I used him first, but when I actually took him out, just as Kisstafer said, that it can be way too situational. And mostly for me, I like cards that does things I want them to do when I want them to do. And Archmage just wasn't that card for me. So I also took out Arcane Missiles in my Mage deck because those were needed for the Archmage. I don't really like the card other than that. It can be good, it can be bad. But yeah, I just took him out for some other late game drops, like Ysera instead.
Okay. So for this guy's specific Mage deck here, what tips would you give to fix this up a little bit for him?
I think that taunt givers are missing somehow. I would probably add Sunfury Protectors or Defender of Argus or both, just to make those Argent Squires and Net Pagels and Acolyte of Pains and Water Elementals and stuff like that that much better. I really think that Mage actually relies on them really hard. Because otherwise you just pretty much die to aggro. I mean, Argent Squire, Mirror Image by themselves don't really do much, I would say.
To me, this deck looks like it should pretty much beat aggro like 100% because it has Argent Squire and Arcane Missiles and Flame Strike. The only thing I think it needs is like an Ice Block.
You don't really need Ice Block anymore. Like, what's Ice Block gonna do?
Well, I don't agree with that at all because there's so many decks that can burst you from 20 health, and you can totally trump that strategy by having one Ice Block.
The reason why Ice Block was so good is Pyroblast, because you had that one turn more to Pyroblast him out, to burst him out with your burn, but you don't have that option anymore. You have to, right now with Mage, you have to rely more on your minions, and if you don't have any board presence, then Ice Block won't matter anyway.
Well, there will still be situations where you can race them, and they'll be forced into like unfavorable trades because they know they can't kill you.
Okay, so you think throw an Ice Block in here?
I would.
No, I wouldn't, definitely not. I think Ice Block is horrible right now.
Okay, Darkwonyx, tiebreaker. Should it get Ice Block or should it not? Yeah.
I would actually not use the Ice Block. I wouldn't.
Okay.
What I would like to see in this deck, I don't really like the Kobolds.
I agree.
They're too weak of a unit. In those kind of decks, I'd rather use Sunfury Protectors or even Amani Berserkers, actually. Because I find Amanis are coming back pretty strong in this meta game. Because Hunters go for your face. If you have Amanis, you might even be able to raise them. Same with the Warriors that go for your face. And also I'd like to add Earthen Ring Farseer in this deck. Because I found Earthen Ring can be really good with Water Elementals. They can keep them alive for so much longer, they can make the Amanis trade better. It's also a lifesaver against other aggro decks. So I really like Earthen Ring in this deck.
The other thing that's kind of weird about it is it's using Argent Squire. So it has 1-drops, but then it doesn't have Mana Worm, even though it has Arcane Missiles and Mirror Image. That are like, if you get Arcane Missiles, Mirror Image, and Mana Worm, and you just can't lose if you have those in your starting hand.
I think probably, and I've seen this from people before, a lot of people associate the Mana Worm with aggro. So maybe he's just thinking, well, I'm playing a control deck, so I don't need Mana Worm, but guy still has 3 health, man. He's fine. You clean up at least a couple minions against Hunter, right?
Yeah.
I want to replace the Argent Squires with Mana Worms for sure. Just, if you have so much 1-drop spells as well as Arcane Missiles and Images, it's just too good of a card to be able to remove.
Yeah, true.
Okay. So basically, maybe throw in some taunts, possibly an Ice Block, remove the Kobolds, and put in either Amani or the Sun Furies that you were talking about before over that. And remove the Squires, instead add in the Mana Worms. Anything else for this one? Or is the rest of it looking kind of solid?
I mean, it's alright. Sylvanas is also a card that I would not play anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Okay. Do you guys like Sylvanas still? Darkwonyx and Kisstafer?
I think she's okay. She's not as bad as people. Like, she's still a good card, but she is kind of awkward at 6 mana. She's still playable, though, for sure, but I don't know if I would or not.
I think she's playable in decks that you can use her for more situation where you just trade her off. Like in this Mage deck, you have the potential to kill her with your Fireball, the same turn as you play her, to steal a minion. and or if you have some kind of taunt givers that give her taunts, like some kind of things that makes her better, because she's not good the way she is right now. But if you have some kind of mechanics that combos with her, then she's okay.
Okay. All right, so I think we pretty much did it for this mage deck. In fact, we've hit quite a few classes, and as I say that, it has been about an hour that we've been on. So kind of an interesting episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was definitely different from any turn 2 we've done before, but I wanted to mix it up since we kind of hit every subject on Earth last week. So I guess we're going to go ahead and close out and give you guys some shout-outs for your streams, Twitters, whatever it is that you want to push to these people to check out. So, Kisstafer, why don't we go ahead and start with you?
I stream sometimes. You can watch me at twitch.tv/Kisstafer. And you can find me on Twitter, too. I also have a Tumblr account where I keep a blog of things that I do, like tournaments I play in, at Kisstafer.tumblr.com. That's it for me.
Cool. And Ekop?
Yo, shoutouts to all the doggies watching. Shout out to every Doghouse member, Savis, Knimsh, and obviously Cancer Nukes. And shout out to ESGN TV. Be sure to check out ESGN Fight Night, featuring season 3 and 4 of Hearthstone in the next 2 weeks. Every Monday to Friday on 9:30 Central European Time.
All right, cool. And Darkwonyx, any shout-outs for you?
Shout out to my team first, Mana Grind. We're currently 12 members, so it's gonna be hard to count them all up on this one, but they know who they are. And you can also find me on Twitch, on Darkwonyx. I start streaming a bit more now, and my Facebook page, Darkwonyx, as well, because I don't have Twitter. And yeah, better. And I also like to shout out to my girlfriend because I know she's watching.
Oh, that's nice. All right. Well, thank you all three for coming on. Big shout out to all three of you for doing that and analyzing these decks. Thanks to everyone who submitted. Sorry if we didn't get to your decks. This is a time-sensitive matter. We only do an hour for the show. And shout out to Simpatico, who does all of our production. He's great. And my sponsors, TT Sports, iBuy Power. Make sure you check out iHearthU.com, and don't forget, King of the Hill is on right after this. Like, just immediately as this goes off, we're going to boot up King of the Hill. So check that out. It's Reels against Lothar. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So thanks, guys, for watching, and we will see you next week.